So today we are going to do a season preview for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and there's no doubt that Whitecaps fan, this is probably the most excited that they have with their team in a long, long time. I mean, for the past couple of years, it just feels like any time when Whitecaps fans are excited about their team, they're just kind of excited the fact that they hope that this deep rebuild that they've been doing since 2018 can finally be finished and that they can be a competitive team. And well, it seems like that could be the case. I mean, they got the pieces that they needed starting from last offseason, and they might have finally found their head coach that they've been desperately looking for in Vanni Sartini. Now, last season they finished with a 12-13-9 record and finished with 49 points. They scored the same amount of goals that they've allowed, 45 goals. Scored 45 goals allowed and a goal differential of exactly +0. And then, most importantly, they made it to the playoffs for the first time since 2017 and ending that 4-year drought of not making the playoffs by finish 6th in the Western Conference. But before that, it was definitely a miserable time to be a Whitecaps fan and kind of deep rebuild time for them, because in 2020 they actually came close of making the playoffs by finishing in 9th place, but 2019 was really a dark time to be a Whitecaps fan, as they finished 12th in the Western Conference, dead last in the standings. 2018 is when they kind of realized that they need to go for a deep rebuild, when they finished 8th place, and then in 2017 they actually had a decent season, finishing 3rd in the Western Conference. Now, in terms of some of the transfer, they have been relatively quiet this offseason in terms of making signings, and it's okay because this team has already been set when last season, and especially the latter part of last season, what was set place. I mean, they made a lot of their signings during the summer transfer window, and it's kind of been proven that, with the good run that they've been having in the latter part of the season, they don't really need to upgrade or a lot, or just that they can just kind of hold firm because they have the team to be competing for the Western Conference this season. But nevertheless, they did get Tristan Blackman from Charlotte FC, though obviously he really didn't play for Charlotte for a very, very long time, or if any time, because he was picked up in the expansion draft by Charlotte and immediately shipped off to the Vancouver Whitecaps. So that was kind of one of those cases you can say that Tristan Blackman is a legend for Charlotte FC, only being with the team for exactly 1 minute before shipping off to the Whitecaps. And then they also had an under-the-radar move by getting Sebastian Burholter from the Columbus Crew. And in the Super Draft, they got Simon Bitcher and Luis Felipe Fernandez Salvador in the Super Draft. Now, players that they lost this offseason: they unexpectedly lost Maxine Crepo to LAFC, and again, it's such an unfortunate situation with him, and obviously I fully respect his decision, and especially the tough time that he's going through with his families. That kind of had that kind of forced him to make a move to another team, but nevertheless, that is definitely a move that I'm pretty sure no Whitecaps fans thought it was going to happen. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a big loss for them coming into this season. They also lost Theo Bear, who's going to be going to St. Johnston. Janelle Bikel going to LR Vicencia. They also lost Evan Newton going to El Paso. And then Andy Rose, of course, decided to hang up his boots. And then free agents so far with this team that currently don't have a club, all by Yasser Kamtrin, Son Ricketts, and Patrick Metcalf, as all those players that has been cut from the end of season roster. And they also decided not to buy Bruno Gasper on a permanent deal, which, again, that's kind of questionable, because I didn't think Bruno Gasper, well, I actually thought that he played well for this Whitecaps team, and there's always that discussion of whether or not if the Whitecaps are going to sign him outright, and it seems like that is not going to be the case, as he's going to be going back to Porto. Now, optimism for this Whitecaps team. And again, this is probably the most optimistic Whitecaps fan had with the team in the beginning of the season in a very long time. Like, it always feels like in the beginning of the season, Whitecaps fan will say, well, see you next season, because we know that this team is going to be god awful, and the fact that we'll just kind of rebuild and then we'll just move on to next year. But this year, that's not the case. I mean, this year there is that excitement, and obviously the one thing that gave them excitement is Vanni Sartini. I mean, I've talked about him and what an incredible job that he has done with this team on an interim basis, and rightfully so, eventually made as a permanent head coach. And again, this is probably the first time that the Whitecaps had a head coach that clearly fits the culture of this team in a very long time. Like I think maybe even going back to the days of Carl Robinson, though, obviously they're doing the end of the time when Robinson was in charge of this team. Yeah, things kind of got a little bit toxic between him and the players, and especially from the fan base. Oh, the rebuild is finally over. So yeah, I mean, this deep rebuild, it's finally feels like it's reached the end, because they now got the pieces that they need to start to be a competitive team. And again, there's actually quality in this team, in the defense, the midfield, and especially on the attacking end too. Now, concern for this Whitecaps team. Now, despite the fact that I said the rebuild is over and they have a lot of quality, well, a lot of those quality players and a lot of those players that did very well near the end of the season that made that playoff push was mainly because they were feeling very confident, which again, when you're of course have a confident team and a team that is in incredible form, you can basically beat anybody. Now the question is, what happened now that we start a brand new season? And this also goes the same with Andy Sartini. I mean, you can clearly see he bought the energy in the latter part of the season. Well, now it's a brand new start. It's a fresh new beginning. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not if they can kind of bring that energy again. Because, again, I feel like this is kind of a team that really feasts on being on a good form. And we'll see whether heading into this season they can, of course, continue that. Because we've seen before where, when a team does go into a good run near the latter part of the season, it's usually not easy to follow that in the beginning of a new year. But this is also why I feel like maybe it's very important for this team to get off to a good start, because if this team does not get off to a good start and the confidence is not there, then it can really be a big telling story of whether or not they can of course pick themselves up, or the fact that maybe this is just a team that it wasn't as good as we thought, mainly because the only reason why they were decent is because they were playing with a lot of confidence. The other concern with this team is the goalkeeping situation. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've always rated Thomas Hasal, and you know how he's one of my favorite backup goalkeeper in the league, but let's be honest, I did not expect that this was the year where he's going to take over Maxine Crepo in the starting goalkeeping role, and judging by the fact that the Whitecaps are not really looking out there to sign another goalkeeper in MLS, seems like Thomas Hasal is giving the key. And I know Hasal had an incredible performance doing the MLS back tournament, and he's definitely, I would say, kind of an above average backup goalkeeper. But to be a starting goalkeeper and just thrust right into this team for this season, I don't know. I just feel like maybe he might need another 1 or 2 years before he of course finally take over. But you never know. Maybe he is ready to take that spot, and he is ready to be the main goalkeeper of this team. But again, that's a lot of big shoes to fill, to try and fill one of the top 5 goalkeeper in Maxine Crepo. And a lot of the good run that the Whitecaps had, I talked about not only their players were confident, but their goalkeeper Maxine Crepo, I mean, down the stretch, he was definitely having the best stretch of his career, and arguably might have been the best goalkeeper in the league during that latter stretch of last season. So to lose him, it's definitely going to be a big loss. And again, we'll see whether or not if Hasal is finally ready when he is stepped into this role and be a starting goalkeeper for this team. And then the last thing to be concerned with this team, I mean, there isn't really a lot of concern with this Whitecaps team, so I kind of had to nitpick a little bit. And that, of course, is the Cavalier DP salary. I mean, it is definitely one of the worst salary and one of the worst DP that a team currently has. And this offseason, I know the Whitecaps was trying so hard to maybe find another team, especially teams down in Liga MX, to basically get Lucas Cavallini and get that DP contract off. But unfortunately, it's still there. I mean, his He is still part of this team, and I don't know if he does have any future with this Whitecaps team, considering the fact that he lost his spot to Brian White, and I'm assuming for this upcoming season, Brian White is going to have another incredible year, and unless if Sartini decided to maybe use Cavallini and White as a striker kind of front going forward to this season, Cavallini is going to be on the bench, and it's not going to be a good look if you have your DP striker to be on the bench. And especially, I don't think Cavallini is happy too. Like, I can definitely sense that Cavallini is very frustrated about his time with the Whitecaps, and that he's not getting minutes because it seems like they found a better option besides him. So yeah, I'm assuming eventually the Whitecaps are going to get him to another club, because it's really restrict them to potentially find another designated player if they still have to sit on the Cavallini DP contract that they have. Now, in terms of MVP for this team, I mean, I'll tell you what, it's really between Brian White and Ryan Gaul, but knowing the fact that I've picked a lot of number 10s as MVP, I might as well do the same thing here. Pick Ryan Gaul as the MVP of this team, the guy that's going to be pulling the string. But again, it's a really tough call between him and Brian White, because both of those players are two players that is going to be the heart and soul in this attack, and I won't be surprised if it could also be a good partnership between both of these guys throughout the season. Comeback player, I mean, if Cavallini was still here, I would say he of course would be the comeback player. But other than that, I mean, I'm not sure if there is really kind of a comeback player on this team, because last season pretty much everybody performed, especially down the stretch, performed the way that they're expected to. But like I said, if Cavallini is still here, I'm just hoping that maybe he might get some more time, and maybe Sartini will figure out a way to put Cavallini in the starting 11 more often. I mean, maybe that he can even shift Cavallini to another position, though I'm not sure if he would love to do that, because he's have noted himself as solely a number 9. So pushing him on the wing area, and we've seen before where coaches, when they have like two number 9s and they don't want to like put both of them up front, they might shift one of the number 9s in the winger position, and sometimes that of course work out, sometimes it doesn't, and I don't know if this is going to be working out with Cavallini. And again, this is why they really want to get rid of him, because he is sitting on that big contract and really holding back in terms of one of the DP spot that they could have also used to maybe even sign another DP level of a winger on this team. Now, in terms of expectation for the Whitecaps, obviously their expectation is making the playoffs again. I mean, they definitely want to start to build a reputation to be a regular playoff contender. I won't say that their expectation is going to be maybe make a deep playoff run just yet, because again, this is still a relatively young team, and that it's going to take time for this team to not only do well in this league and be a regular contender, but also, I think since this is only the second year that this group, of course, have been together, well, not even a second year. Some of these guys have only been here for about a half a year. I don't think they're ready just yet to make the next step. So, but playoffs is definitely one of the things that they're hoping to do so. And again, if they can make it to the playoffs this season, it's proven that last year, that good run that they had in the latter part of the season wasn't because of the fact that they were on a good form. It was mainly because of the fact that they actually have a decent squad, and also a decent head coach in helm for this team. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this video? And if you're a Whitecaps fan, what are you very optimistic about your team this upcoming season, your concern, and also your expectation for this upcoming season? But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.